the monitor stack fascia was hewn out of solid plywood, so the reveals were a bit rough and ready as it was all cut out with a jigsaw. So my main task today has been to fill the rough edges and sand them down, and now paint them with a tiny paintbrush. And then the back of the monitor stack, my final job for the day will be to roller it in this delightful ivory colour.
So these bars are part of the equipment rack, so they form the monitor stack and all the ancillary equipment that are mounted behind it. And then they form a sort of like Meccano set, so they're sort of straight bits with little angled pieces to join them together and fit into the walls and the ceilings. So they end up forming a frame for all the equipment to just slide into. Most of them are new, so they've been refabricated because the original ones were taken out and either repurposed or cut up or thrown away. Pieces like this are new, but these are original. And we're just painting it the original colour. I'm just putting these panels back in these desk uprights. They're newly cut from wood with a new Formica covering which matches the original style. So that's what they look like from the right way up. Obviously we'll take this protective cover off when they go in for real, so they're nice and flush. 3 of the biggest ones like that and 2 narrow ones like this for the 2 engineers' desks at the front, because obviously they've got a lot less room to work with, being in the engine room as ever.
And I gather they're being coated both sides. What's the reason for that?
Well, one reason is that if moisture gets into the plywood, it will distort its shape and then make the whole thing rather unpleasant. So, and it just makes it look nice and neat anyway when they do come out, when they come off again. Because the idea is these come out and fold down flat, so you can put the chairs up against them for travelling.
Well, here we have a progress report on the progress we're making with the Pi Mark 6 camera. We spoke about it earlier, and since then Jeremy, one of our principal volunteers and also a trustee, has been cleaning the camera up ready for its first outing in a fortnight. Jeremy will tell us a little bit about what he's been doing.
This has been one of my pet projects because it came to us and it was quite dented. So actually a lot of the initial work was actually removing dents and trying to get the camera looking in shipshape, but of course that still left it very dirty. So today's work has basically been to do with this end of the camera, the operating end. I'm not an expert in these things, but apparently this is where it all happens. The various lenses plug into the front here, and a motor here controls an iris which allows the lenses to adapt to different light levels. And so what I've been doing is basically removing quite a lot of tarnish and rust from this area. The lens itself at the bottom, there would be 4 on this in real life, but we only have 1 at the moment to put on it. When it is demonstrated, it should be quite good. So a lot of it's been cleaning it up. The machine still has a lot of its original electronics in it, and they're in remarkably good condition. So therefore what we'll be trying to do over a period of time is to get this thing working fully. But for the moment, the main thing to do is to get this looking as nice as we can, so that the people who see this for the first time in probably 40 or 50 years can appreciate what it looked like in its heyday. So part of the job that we had to do today was to take off a lot of things which have been put on the camera over the years, including all sorts of bits of Dymo tape, and also just a little piece of plastic down the side which I think allows the cameraman to see where the filters are and which filters he's got on. Amazingly, Brian Summers had another complete back plate. So all I had to do was to heat up one side of it, very carefully remove this 60-year-old piece of plastic and put it in its correct place, which was here. And the top's missing, you may notice. The top's missing because we've been using it for colour matching. We've got some other bits of stuff that we need to get correctly spray painted, and so we've removed the top to do that. You probably noticed that these cameras, they may have a number on, but they don't have the correct thing that says BBC TV. We are making up a number of these to go on the camera and other cameras, but of course we've got to get all the colour absolutely right, so that was part of the job. but it'll look very smart. When this came to us, this actually had, I think it was Brez TV, a small TV company's logo, right the way across one side. That had to be very carefully removed, because the last thing you want, of course, is to remove the logo and find you've lost all the paint. So that was quite a delicate job. And there are a few other bits and pieces that are missing, but in general, the camera's in remarkably good condition. And considering it's 60 years old, I think it survived jolly well. So one of the things I had to do when it first arrived was to remove quite a number of years of wear and tear from it. Unfortunately, a camera like this is not always stored beautifully in a box. This one must have been dropped quite a lot of times on most of its sides. So the first thing was this poor little back panel here, which actually gives access to the back of the tube. And this panel was very badly dented. It had obviously received the weight of the camera a number of times. The side panels also were dented, and most importantly, the top was dented because things had been dropped on the camera a number of times quite forcibly. And so the whole of the top of the camera had to come off, and or the top of the casing for the camera had to come off, and had to do a bit of fairly careful panel beating. My objective was to make it as good as possible without breaking the beautiful paintwork on it, because this hammerite paintwork is so pristine that you've got to be very delicate when you're trying to hammer the bits and pieces out of it. But the camera has responded to treatment well, and I think she'll go on and amuse people for a few years to go.